Rafael Nadal is retiring from professional tennis at age 38. He announced in a video message Thursday after winning 22 Grand Slam titles, 14 at the French Open. During an unprecedented era, he shared with rivals Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. Nadal has competed infrequently the past two seasons because of injuries and said next month's Davis Cup finals will mark his farewell to the sport. He had hip surgery in 2023 and entered just two of the past eight major tournaments. The reality is that it has been some difficult years. These last two, especially, I don't think I have been able to play without limitations, Nadal said. It is obviously a difficult decision, one that has taken me some time to make, but in this life everything has a beginning and an end. Nadal's unrelenting physical style of play, every point pursued as though it were his last, sprinting and sliding into place for that high bouncing bullwhip of a lefty forehand, made him one of the greats of the game and the unquestioned king of clay, the slow red surface on which he dominated. His record 14 French Open championships are more than any one man or woman won at any one of the sport's four major tournaments, a dominance celebrated by a statue of Nadal that stands near the main entrance to the grounds of Roland Garros and in the shadow of its main stadium, Court Philip Chatrier. In a result that symbolized where things stood for his body and career, he exited in the French Open's first round this year, a straight set loss to eventual runner-up Alexander Zverev. Nadal returned to that site in southwest Paris for the Summer Olympics where he lost to old rival Djokovic in the second round of singles and reached the quarterfinals of men's doubles with Carlos Alcaraz. Nadal has not played since his goodbye will also come while representing Spain at Malaga in the Davis Cup. In addition to his French Open triumphs, he won four trophies at the US Open and two apiece at Wimbledon and the Australian Open, giving him a career Grand Slam. A career that is more successful than I could ever imagine. I think it is the appropriate time to put an end to a career that has been long and much more successful than I could have ever imagined, Nadal said. His last pair of major titles arrived in 2022 at Melbourne in January and Paris in June, pushed him ahead of Federer, who held the men's record of 20 Grand Slam titles when he announced his retirement at age 41. Federer beat Adio in late 2022 by teaming with Nadal in a doubles match at the Lever Cup. Both have been surpassed by Djokovic, 37, who is up to 24 majors. So much of Nadal's success was seen, fairly or not, through the prism of his encounters with Federer and Djokovic. The tennis world and plenty outside of it were consumed with the debate over which was most deserving of the GOAT, greatest of all time, moniker. The world tennis or otherwise was fascinated by their matchups, their differing styles and personalities. Who among those who witnessed it could possibly forget Nadal versus Federer in the 2008 Wimbledon final or Nadal versus Djokovic in the 2022 French Open quarterfinals or Nadal versus Djokovic in the 2012 Australian Open final and so on. Nadal played Djokovic 60 times, a record for two men in the Open era. Djokovic leads 31-29 overall. Nadal leads 5-4 in Slam finals. Nadal met Federer 40 times. Nadal leads 24-16 overall, including 6-3 in Slam finals. Thank you for the unforgettable memories and all your incredible achievements in the game we love, Federer told Nadal via social media. It's certainly apt that Nadal's last major title came at the French Open, beating Djokovic along the way 2 years ago and while getting pain-killing injections for chronic pain in his left foot. He repeatedly dealt with and frequently overcame various injury issues over the years, and his 2023 and 2024 seasons were both limited because of hip and abdominal muscle problems. Nadal hurt his hip flexor during a second round loss at the Australian Open in January 2023 and wound up missing the rest of the year. There was an operation for that in June. After briefly making a comeback this January during a tune up event for the Australian Open, he had to pull out of the year's first major with a torn hip muscle, then was sidelined again until a return on his beloved clay at the Barcelona Open in April. Dating to late in 2022 when he was beaten in the fourth round at Flushing Meadows by Francis Tiafoe. Nadal is just 14-14 including 12-7 this year, but his overall resume is unimpeachable. A total of 209 weeks at number 1 in the ATP rankings and nearly 18 years worth of consecutive weeks in the top 10, 92 singles titles, 1080 wins and 227 loss record, just shy of $135 million in prize money. Really, everything I have experienced has been a dream come true, Nadal said. I live with the absolute peace of mind of having given my best, of having made an effort in every way.